I want to tell you about the time a room almost made me cry. A year ago, I was standing in the living room of Taliesin, Frank Lloyd Wright's home in Spring Green, Wisconsin, for the very first time. This is where he lived, where he worked, where he gathered with his apprentices, where ideas that would change architecture were imagined and lived. The room opens outward along the ridge of the hill, its long horizontal lines extending into the Wisconsin landscape. A stone hearth anchors the center of the room, and windows frame the horizon so completely that the outside world feels inseparable from the interior. The building doesn't dominate the landscape. In Wright's language, it graces it. Wright spoke about what he called compression and release, the way moving from a smaller, more intimate environment makes the expansion that follows feel even more spacious. And you feel that shift immediately. The room expands around you, and your body relaxes before your mind has time to explain why. Now, like most of you, I didn't grow up in the world of architecture. I spent most of my life in the world of music and theater, opera specifically. First as an opera lover when I was a teenager, then later as an professional opera singer, and finally as an opera producer. As opera singers, the first space we learn to inhabit isn't the theater. It's the space within our own body. The breath drops into the lungs, the belly expands, and the body becomes available to support sound. From the world of opera, that awareness of breath gives us a way to understand Wright's idea of compression and release. So take a moment to just notice where you are in the room. And if you want to feel this, pull your shoulders up to your ears, take a shallow breath, squeeze the muscles in your neck and chest. That's compression, your body bracing against its environment. Now relax. There we go. Let your weight settle. And now take a full diaphragmatic breath into your belly, a singer's breath, and let it fall out with an audible sigh. That's release. And in that small shift, your nervous system transformed its relationship to this room. That shift is what Wright was designing for. And a year ago, as I moved from the compressed entryway into the openness of that living room at Taliesin, experiencing that energetic shift, that release, I felt something I didn't expect. I felt like I might cry. Not because something dramatic was happening, but because the room was giving me something that's rare in my life, maybe in yours too. A sense of calm and clarity. A sense of ease. From my opera background, I knew what it meant for people to fill a space with sound, emotion, and energy. I knew how music and theater could transform a room and everyone inside it. But standing there in Taliesin, I experienced something completely different. The space was transforming me. Frank Lloyd Wright said, "The space within becomes the reality of the building." And in that moment, I understood just what Wright meant. The space wasn't passive. It was participating actively in my experience. And whether we realize it or not, the spaces around us participate in our lives every day. The built environment shapes how we think, how we feel, how we relate to one another, even how we imagine what's possible in our lives. Take a moment to think about the space where you do your most important work. Think about the lighting there. Is it natural light? Fluorescent light? Think about what you see. Do you see a beautiful hill through a window or a wall a few feet away? Do you feel a sense of containment or expansion, compression or release? These details may seem small, but your nervous system doesn't experience them that way. Your breathing's impacted, your attention's impacted, Even your sense of possibilities impacted. In 1984, a study found that patients recovering from surgery needed less pain medication if they could see trees through the window of their hospital room instead of a brick wall. That space was doing something. Architecture doesn't just hold your life. Over time, it begins to shape what you believe is possible inside it. And once you internalize this, something shifts. You begin to notice which spaces support you and which ones drain you. And even when you can't redesign the building you're in, you might be able to redesign your relationship to it and within it. Think about that space where you spend most of your day and ask yourself, does it support me or does it drain me? And if it drains you, change one thing. Your chair, your light, your position in the room. Change just one thing today to give yourself a greater sense of openness, of release. But before you change a space, you have to see and feel what it's doing to you. And that's where your agency begins. It begins as a relationship. And that relationship is something we're already participating in. Frank Lloyd Wright lived during a time when this reality became urgent. He was born just after the Civil War, and he died in 1959, just as people first decided that leaving the planet was a good idea. In between, America transformed itself completely. Railroads, electricity, factories, skyscrapers, suburbs, cars, television. The Industrial Revolution reshaped human life at a speed no society had experienced before. And yet, through all of that change, a critical question remained. Are we building a better society or just a faster one? Wright saw all of this happening, and he asked a different kind of question. Not, how can we build more, but how can we build in a way that could reunite what modern life had begun to fragment? He saw architecture as a form of care, a form of social responsibility. He believed that buildings could help people live better lives. Not grander, better. The idea that architecture is more than just buildings. Wright's guiding principle is what he called part-to-whole thinking. The idea that nothing exists in isolation. Nothing stands alone. Not a person or a room, not a building or a city. Everything exists in relationship to its environment and to everything around it. This, in turn, became the foundation of what Wright called organic architecture, which was not architecture as style, but architecture as relationship. Organic architecture was rooted in a profound ethic of integration, flow, and belonging. And if architecture does shape human experience, then designing space becomes a form of responsibility. Responsibility to support dignity, to support connection, and to support human possibility itself. Wright devoted his career to testing these ideas. He tested them in the three spheres where modern life had fractured most: the home, the workplace, and the city. The home, Taliesin. Taliesin wasn't designed to impress visitors. It was designed to reunite life. Living, working, learning, even farming all took place there. At Taliesin, Wright proposed a more unified way of life. The workplace. Industrial buildings trained people to survive work, often confined in the shadows. Wright believed that work could support dignity. At Johnson Wax headquarters, he gave workers light, air, and beauty. The architecture supported productivity, and acknowledged people. But Wright didn't stop at individual buildings. His thought experiment about communities, Broadacre City, asked a dangerous idea. What if cities were designed for human well-being first? Not just for efficiency, profit, and density, but for dignity, equality, and democracy. Broadacre City proposed local food, affordable housing, balanced economies, experiential education, and mobility without congestion. It wasn't perfect or maybe even achievable in its ideal state, but it was sincere. And sincerity is often where real progress begins. Architecture doesn't just shape buildings. It shapes the conditions for society itself. And today we're still negotiating many of the same tensions as Wright. Work-life balance, urban congestion, environmental strain, inequality, technological acceleration. Sound familiar? Standing there in Taliesin a year ago, I began to understand for the first time that every space, in some way, is a proposal for how life should be lived. And through the spaces we inhabit, the spaces we care for, and the spaces we make possible for others, we are shaping the world we share. And that work doesn't just belong to architects. It belongs to all of us. The spaces we create become the lives we live. And the decisions we make about space don't end with us. They accumulate. They shape the environments that future generations will inherit. This is how societies evolve. So when you leave here today, notice the spaces around you. Yes, notice what they encourage and what they make possible, but also notice what they make more difficult. And realize that those conditions didn't arise by accident. They were created, which means they can be changed. Not through a single act, but through accumulation, compounded over time. Through our participation. Through realizing that the world that we inherited isn't the final version. It's just the next draft. And whether we asked for it or not, this responsibility now belongs to us. What kind of society are we willing to design together? Architecture ultimately is about creating space for belonging. And in that very real sense, we are all architects. Thank you.